Some casual takes with your boy Steven Pepper, here to give a couple takes off my chest. I'm here today to talk about game 3 of the NBA Finals. And let's start with Dallas. I said coming in, the Mavs need an historic Luka and Kyrie night to beat Boston. They just do. Because Boston is so much better than them talent-wise. Well, Kyrie finally did his part. It looked like finals Kyrie that we all know and love. He had 35 points. But Luka, the stats will tell you 27, 6 and 6 against an elite defense. That's a good game. But I thought for the most part he was awful. His effort in decision making was cringeworthy. Offensively, he consistently foul baited, jacked up threes, whined the refs. He was 1 for 7 from downtown. And defensively, my goodness, the Mavs would have been better off subbing him out on those possessions and just play a 4-on-5 because his effort was pathetic. In this series, he's getting blown by on 67.7% of his drives. That is the most allowed by a single player in a playoff series in the last 10 years. And number 2 and 3, by the way, are series from Luka this year. He is literally a cone in a Mavericks jersey. I thought there were 2 times last night where the momentum heavily favored Dallas. And I was thinking to myself, oh, here come the Mavericks to win this game. And Luka single-handedly halted it. The final 45 seconds of the first quarter, they always say you got to end the first quarter. They always say you got to end quarters strong. So what does Luka do, the leader of this team? The Mavs had 2 possessions, and he goes dribble, 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 force a step-back 3, flop on the ground, a foul bait, whine the refs, not get back on defense, and the Celtics go on transition with an advantage and cut the deficit. And then we go to the infamous fourth quarter blunder where Luka, my guy, I suggested no beer summer because you are so damn out of shape and tired by the fourth quarter, you unravel. Luka in the fourth quarter alone in this game, he had 4 fouls in just 7 minutes because he can't move his damn feet and went 1 for 5 from the field. That is nasty. And then in this series in general, Luka has 8 points in 3 games in the fourth quarter. He's 3 for 15. Hasn't hit a shot from downtown. And he's fouling because he can't move his feet. The Mavs cut a 21-point deficit to 3. And Luka fouls out. Kiss the series goodbye. Best player out in the biggest moments. Series over. Why the hell are you taking a charge with 5 fouls? Is this guy dumb? And then Luka had the audacity post-game at the podium to say this. But 6 fouls in the NBA Finals. Come on, man. Be better when talking to the refs. Buddy, this is so ironic because you're the same person who every time you feel like you get touched, you look at the official and start crying. And now you're going to cry because they call fouls on you? Call fouls committed by you? I'm old enough to remember when Steph Curry used to get hunted on defense in these stages. See that poster behind me? One situation, Game 7, 2016, Kyrie Irving calls a screen to get Steph Curry, hits a game-winning shot. But Steph Curry is no longer this defensive liability. He is now not all that bad. So how does Curry become not all that bad? Because I tell people all the time when I pick up basketball with my boys and I see them consistently get blown by, that half of defense is just straight up effort, bro. The other half is athletic gifts and health, and Luka clearly does not have the athletic gifts and might not be 100% healthy. But the other half is effort. And Steph Curry chose to lock in on the defensive end and not be a liability. And Luka's effort on defense is so piss poor. This is the NBA Finals, bro. Steph understood it. I get you have this huge offensive workload, but nothing should come easy in the finals. Luka's never going to be a lockdown defender. He doesn't need to be one. And he does have a heavy workload. But at least don't be barbecue chicken every single time your opponent comes down the floor. Nothing should be easy in the finals. And if he doesn't buy into defensive effort, and probably just needs to get in shape, I don't know if he might ever win on this big stage. And that was the Mavs' chance. That was. I know the series technically isn't over. We could go to 7, whatever. Mavs could still win. Come on, guys. The series is over. No one in NBA history has come back from down 3-0 in a playoff series. It's like 1 in 50. It's like 0 and 150 at this point. No Kristaps Porzingis, game 3 on your home floor. Role players usually shoot better at home. Kyrie finally had a great game. You got your best PJ Washington game. No Kristaps. If you win that game, you're still down the series 2-1, but you get game 4 2 days later on your home floor to tie the series. All the momentum goes your way. But like I said, in this game, whenever the Mavericks had all the momentum going their way, Luka Doncic single-handedly halted it with piss-poor effort in decision-making, fouling out with 4 minutes left to go by taking a charge of 5 fouls because he can't move his feet on defense, being a liability on the defensive end, foul baiting, complaining to the refs, and killing their momentum. Luka Doncic needs to change that. Absolutely needs to change that. Now let's go to the Celtics. I understand most of us don't like the Celtics, so it's going to be hard for us to admit this. But other than the KD Warriors, this might be the best team of the last 20 years. And no, this is not a reactionary take by me, because I was on the same platform criticizing the Celtics for just dropping 2 games in the postseason because I knew they were too good not to sweep the entire East. And look where they are now. They're about to sweep the finals because they have a starting 5 of guys who could all jack threes, drop 20, move the ball, switch everything on defense. They're led by two All-NBA guys who can have big playoff games on both ends of the floor. All defensive guys along the perimeter to complement their 2 stars. They're well coached, and they have a playable bench. And y'all laughed at the metrics throughout the regular season. I heard you guys. But all their metrics tell you that this is an all-time great team. 64 wins, just 2 losses in the playoffs so far, 5th greatest net rating ever. When your metrics are up there with the KD Warriors, MJ's Bulls, Kareem's Bucks, you're an all-time great team. And like I was thinking to myself when I was watching that game, and honestly the whole series, what is your game plan against the Celtics? Like, what is it? Because I can't think of one. They're a matchup nightmare on both ends of the floor. Because offensively, you're playing this team, you're on offense. They got 5 guys when fully healthy with Kristaps who are going to switch all your pick and roll. You can't match up punt. There's no Luka on the floor to match up punt. They're a great defense. Tatum can guard the center. They got athletes, all defensive guys, all across the perimeter before you even get to the paint when Kristaps is not even healthy. And then when you're on defense, how do you stop this 5 out? You got 5 guys. Even when Kristaps is not healthy, you got Al Horford out there who can space the floor, have 20 points in a postseason. In the postseason game, they can move the ball with the driving kick stuff. They got creators all over the floor. And I understand that you're going to be hesitant to crown this team an all-time great team because they don't. I know why. And it's because they don't have a true superstar. When I say true superstar, a true number 1 Hall of Famer player. Because all the all-time great teams do. MJ's Bulls, Kareem's Bucks, West Lakers, KD Warriors. You don't see Tatum as that player, which he isn't. But on a given night, they can. And Tatum and Brown both had 30 points. But what makes them special is their team. They're so deep. I've never seen a team this deep, this talented, with this many creators, and it works. Usually when you have this much talent on a team, it just doesn't work. But this team works. Like, your best bet is if they beat themselves, because you ain't beating them straight up. And I thought there were 2 times this series where Dallas really could have applied more pressure and stolen a game or 2 because Boston was beating themselves. That's the only time Dallas could beat them. In game 2, the Celtics rely on like half their shots from 3. I think it's like anywhere from 45 to 60% on a given night. And they couldn't buy one. Clank, clank, clank. Celtics still beat the Mavericks. In game 3, the only reason why Dallas was able to get back into this game in the 4th quarter on that huge, 20-2 run or something like that, to cut that 21-point deficit to 1 point, because Boston just had a complete brain fart where they got into stagnant isolation basketball, and they still won because they're, at the end of the day, they're too talented. They won last night without Porzingis. They've lost all. They've won every game but one this playoffs without Porzingis. That's how good they are. And their duo was able to match a duo in Dallas that I said, Van Gundy said on the broadcast in the West Finals, we all did before the finals, the most talented backcourt ever. Brown and Tatum are better than Luka and Kyrie. And if they are, They're unbeatable even without Kristaps. Most memorable all-time great squads are remembered not just because they have one great finals run, because they have multiple and they're dominant for a couple year stretch. We don't really remember the one-off great teams. Kawhi's Raptors kind of get thrown away. But I'm looking in the future because this Celtics team is going to win the finals. Again, no one's ever come back from down 3-1. 3-0. Sorry. We know who's come back from 3-1. Looking at next season, who's beating this team, at least in the East? Milwaukee does not have the perimeter defense to keep up the Celtics 5 out and their creators. Philly, well, Joel Embiid has to be healthy. That's a non-negotiable before we even talk about their offense and their talent. And then New York, it's a stretch with New York, but New York does not have. They have the defense, but they do not have the offensive talent to keep up, and everyone else doesn't. And then out west, Minnesota's offense is mid. The Lakers do not come close to have the perimeter defensive talent to compete. The Clippers are old. Really, it's only Denver. And I wish we would have saw a Denver Celtics final series because I picked that to be the matchup. And then I picked the Celtics to win the finals in the preseason. But this is an all-time great team. We have to admit it. I think this chance, I don't want to say it now, but if I were to be a little overreactionary, this team repeats. They're that good. They have everyone under contract next season without injuries being considered. Because the metrics say that they're an all-time great team. The wins say they're an all-time great team. How they win says they're an all-time great team. And the fact that they can go 8, 9-man rotation this deep of straight shooters, defense, guys who play their roles, they have all the experience in the world. This team's tough. I honestly expect them to sweep on Friday. I honestly expect them to sweep. Dallas could get one desperate game at home. Don't go out sad, but the way the series is showing up for Dallas, Luka fouling out, role players not hitting shots, I expect a sweep, even without Porzingis, possibly for Game 4. But I appreciate everyone for coming in this episode of Some Casual Takes. Not a podcast, but just a quick 2 takes to talk about the NBA Finals. I'll be back here Friday or Saturday to talk about Game 4 of the Finals. But until then, Some Casual Takes is my social media for everything, and I'll see you.